Right away, Jane and Hugo Van Lawick became close friends. They had a very different personalities. Hugo was a stiffer, more formal person than Jane was. However, they worked very well alongside each other. They were a team. Each night they talked excitedly about what they had seen the chimps doing. In time, Hugo and Jane fell in love. In London, on March 28, 1964, they were married. On top of the wedding cake was a little clay model of David Greybeard. On the walls hung pictures of David and the Goliath, Flo and her daughter Fifi, many of Jane's and Hugo's other chimp friends. The National Geographic Society provided more money for Jane's work. Over time, the camp grew. Many young graduate students went to join Jane at Gombe. In 1965, buildings were erected, then covered with grass to blend in with the forest. More and more information was gathered about the chimp community. For instance, before Gombe, scientists had thought that chimpanzee group was made up of one male and lots of females. That's not so. A group is made up of many males and females. There were around 50 in the group that Jane knew. The group lives within a home range. An adult male is always the leader and may stay in charge for as long as 10 years. When the leader becomes too old and weak, most often younger males will fight one another to be the next leader. Goliath was the leader, or alpha male, when Jane first went to Gombe. Later, a chimp named Mike replaced Goliath. Mike was not a big, strong chimp, but he was clever. He acted big and strong, which made the other males fear and respect him. Among the females, Flo was the most respected. In 1964, she had another baby. Jane and Hugo called him Flint. They did not know who Flint's father was. Male and female chimps do not pair off and live together, nor does a male chimp take part in raising his young. The mother chimp cares for the young baby by herself. Flo often came into the camp with her new baby, so Jane saw close up how an infant chimp develops. Like a newborn human baby, a newborn chimp is helpless. Flint depended on Flo for milk, to keep him safe, and to carry him around. For the first 5 or 6 months, Flint clung onto the fur on his mother's belly. Afterward, Flo made him ride on her back. By the time most chimps are a year old, they can walk steadily. But chimps will ride on their mothers until they are about 2 years old. After that, they travel on their own, still staying close to their mother. Flint had 2 much older brothers, Figgin and Faven. His sister Fifi was 4 when he was born. Fifi was fascinated with the little Flint. She wanted to be around him all the time. When he was older, Fifi would hold him and take him for rides on her back. She was learning to be a mother. Flo was an excellent mother. In fact, most of the female chimps at Gombe were good mothers. They kept their babies very close to them. The chimp mothers gave their babies lots of love and attention. They cuddled them. They protected them. They did not punish their babies for misbehaving. Instead, a chimp mother would distract a baby to stop naughty behavior. They let their babies have lots of playtime. The little chimps chased and tickled one another and played games like tug of war. Jane believed that watching the chimps taught her a lot about good mothering. In 1967, she and Hugo had a son. His first name was also Hugo, but everyone called him Grub. There was an important question of safety now that Jane had a child. A baby would not know to be careful around chimps, and chimps had been known to attack human infants. So, Jane and Hugo moved to a house by the lake to keep Grub safe. Jane spent most of her time caring for him, while students went into the forest to observe the chimps. Little Grub loved to swim in the lake and go fishing. Did he come to love the chimps as much as his parents did? No. When Grub was quite young, a chimp bit his finger. Grub had been trying to give it some food. After that, Grub kept his distance from the animals. Meanwhile, Jane and Hugo continued working as partners. They wrote books together and made many films together. Jane wrote many books by herself that became very popular. One book, In the Shadow of Man, first came out in 1971. It became a bestseller and has been translated into about 50 languages. In December 1965, an hour-long program appeared on national TV in the United States. It was called Miss Goodall and the Wild Chimpanzees. Viewers were fascinated by the chimps. They were equally fascinated by the pretty, young Jane Goodall. Jane became famous. Over the years, Jane became world famous. Perhaps it was difficult for Hugo to be married to a superstar. Though they remained friends, after 10 years of marriage, Hugo and Jane got divorced. Jane remarried in 1975. Her second husband was named Derek Brysonson. He worked in the government of Tanzania and lived in the city of Dar es Salaam much of the time. Although the couple was often apart, many of Jane's friends considered Derek the love of her life. He died in 1980 of cancer.